Hey, Mariner fans, welcome back to the Monday Mojo Sports Desk. I'm Max Schwabe. I'm here with Chris Silva and Evan Barron. We've got a hell of an episode for you today. Barstool Carl joins us from the Chicago office of Barstool. If you don't know who Barstool Carl is, he leads a great baseball podcast called Starting Nine. With who is that, Chris?
With Jake Arrieta, former pitcher of the Cubs.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
He was a hell of a guy. Can't wait to have you listen to our very extensive interview with him. But before we get into that, I guess we have to talk about the shit show of the road trip that we just had. Really unfortunate, but there's a lot to cover here as we start limping into the postseason. Chris, why don't you lead us off with that?
Great. So first thing, in our interview with Barstool Carl, you're going to hear that we were talking about the wild card coming up, and Carl was he was describing to me how he thought that the wild card worked this year. And I'm not going to dive into all that right now, but take a listen when this comes up in the interview. I think Carl, if you're listening to this, I think you were wrong.
Yes.
I think he was wrong about the seeding. And I was getting thrown through every type of loop when we were going over that in the actual interview, because I was like, wait, how am I wrong? I swear I've done my research on this. I don't know, but pretty
Yankees
funny.
Play 3-6. Astros play 4-5. Yeah,
and that all makes sense later on. But let's dive into the meat of it. First things first, this is Monday Mojo being recorded actually on a Monday right now. We had to, delay yesterday's recording. And so this is fun. Get up, have your coffee. I'm energized. I'm ready to go. It's the start of a new week. And that's good that it's the start of a new week, because we get to put behind a lackluster performance of shit that we had to go through, apparently. And we'll start with yesterday. We'll start with Sunday. We'll start with what seemed to be just a walk in the park for the Seattle Mariners. We were up 11-2. We had an amazing fifth inning where we scored 8 runs to take up 11-2. And at one point in this game, Fangraphs had the Seattle Mariners at 100% win probability. So I saw a really funny tweet. Seattle fans, after we had week 1 in the NFL, Geno Smith versus Russell Wilson. Geno Smith is getting interviewed after the game, and he said, they wrote me off, but I didn't write back. This is where I'm going with this. Kansas City Royals Twitter, hats off to you. They posted a tweet with the photo of the 100% win probability for the Seattle Mariners, captioned it, they wrote us off, but we didn't write back, because they ended up winning the game 13-12. I thought that was a really funny piece of shade that Kansas City threw our way. You just got to kind of laugh at that as a Mariners fan. You got to laugh at the game as a Mariners fan. Sometimes baseball gods giveth, sometimes the baseball gods taketh. They took it from the Seattle Mariners this time. We've had these kind of wins in our back pocket before, 2016 San Diego. Last game of the year for Kansas City in Kauffman Stadium at home in front of their home fans. They were able to put on a show, and they were able to have things go their way, come back, beat us up, take the W. It is what it is. I'm not going to sit too much on it. The game before, we did win. And
I do want to add something about that. The end of the 11, or when they put up 11 runs on us.
Yeah.
Is it correct that Scott Service had a closed door meeting with the team in the visitors clubhouse after the game?
Yeah. No, I did read that as well. He did have a closed door meeting with the players and the coaches only, which is, I love it. I love it. You got to. And it's not like we're really in, emergency mode right now. It's not in panic mode right now. We still have a very good shot. Our magic number is at 6 games. And so that's great. We just need to bounce back this week. We need to get back on track. We need to have our guys, most importantly, we need to have our guys make sure that they're healthy for when this postseason starts. And that's what we're doing right now. Okay. We're making, getting those guys healthy.
Well, no,
one
more, I just want to expand on that, Chris, because I think this is important, right? Like, here we are at the end of the year, we're fighting for a spot, ideally, to take a 3-game home series, right? And then the potential to play a team that we'd rather play instead of the Astros. So what do you think was said behind those closed doors? It was, hey, we're a postseason team, start acting like it. As we reach
I
like
think
towards the end of the season, right? Like here's a time when you want to start, actually being like, okay, I really don't want to play the Mariners, in the postseason.
no,
But
that's a
I mean,
yeah.
this road trip, I mean, we've been talking about this schedule that we have right now for months,
We have.
right? And we've looked at it and said, okay, look, like we've got some tough teams, but like here's where, like, we have an easy schedule towards the end of the year. And we're gonna be in a great spot, great shape, come end of September. And scoring one run for most of our losses, and then yes, finally getting like an 8-run game, a 12-run game, whatever. But like, I mean, this has been incredibly frustrating. So I imagine Scott Service had to have said something along those lines, or if he didn't, that's what I would have said.
I think maybe let's guess here. Obviously, everybody knows we have no fucking clue what was said behind those doors. We're just guessing. Obviously. And I'm thinking maybe Scott says something along the lines of like, hey, you guys, like in that game that we score 8 runs in the 5th inning, we just got too comfortable. We expected that it would be a walk in the park, that the Royals were just going to roll over, that we'd take the W, we'd get out of there and take the series. And the Mariners in general, Mariners fans, all of us, we've never been, it's been a long time at least for us being in a situation to where we don't need to win every single game, right? For the rest of the year to make the playoffs at least. And maybe that's something that is creeping into the minds of the players. I don't know, but maybe Scott's like, get that out of your head if that is creeping in your mind, if that thought is coming, and you need to still think every game, one game at a time, one day at a time, win the game at hand, worry about tomorrow when tomorrow comes. Don't worry about yesterday because today's a new day. And so maybe it was something along those lines, but matter of the fact, they just need to have their heads in the game that they're playing, and they need to finish it. They need to finish the game that they're playing, and that shit didn't happen. This was a terrible week of Mariners
because if the Royals can do it, then so can the Guardians, so can anybody. The Rays, the Blue Jays, especially the Yankees, especially the Astros. And something like that cannot be tolerated in the postseason.
No.
I think also, I just don't want to make excuses, but I think what's also playing a factor is, I mean, they're hurt too with the injury bug. We don't have Gino, we don't have Julio, some key bats in the lineup that add to that offense that you're seeing. But I think we got to talk about Jared Kelenic though.
We will. One last thing I want to say about this Sunday game against the Royals. We did get one W. The Mariners did get one W at the very beginning of the game. I had seen a tweet that said Robbie Ray and somebody else for the Royals had been ejected. And I was like, it was before a pitch had been thrown. And I was like, I was watching Red Zone at the time. And so I immediately flip over to the Mariners game. I'm like, all right, what the hell's going on? Why are people getting ejected this early? Robbie Ray and I forget who it was for the Kansas City Royals had an old classic national anthem standoff. They had an old classic national anthem standoff. It was Weaver. It was Weaver, wasn't it, Max? Yeah. And they were just sitting there after the national anthem, and they were teammates, Robbie Ray and Weaver, and they were just on the
Diamondbacks in 2019.
Yeah. And they were seeing who could stay on the sidelines longer after the national anthem, and the umpire after 4 minutes or whatever was like, all right, fuck this. Both of you guys are ejected. You're out of here. Let's play ball. And it was the funniest thing in the world. I loved it. Side note there. But Evan, let's talk about Jared Kelenic. On Wednesday, Jared Kelenic, was it Wednesday or it could have been Tuesday? I think it was Wednesday.
When did I come over to watch the game?
You came over Wednesday.
No,
yeah.
Was it Wednesday?
Yeah. So Wednesday.
No, that was the game. That was the game that Terrence hit a bomb in a pinch hit situation.
Yep. So Wednesday, Luis Terrence and Jared Kelenic got called back up. We needed their help. Jared did not play in that Wednesday game that we had. Luis Terrence was the only life of offense that we saw when he came and pinched hit in the
8th inning.
in the 8th inning. Yeah, he had a pinch hit home run. Otherwise, other than that, the Mariners, we mustered together a couple of hits that never threatened to score against the starter, James Caprillion, who went 7 shutout innings. With Kelenic coming back up, we're probably going to see Winker go to more of that designated hitter role if we're going to see him in the lineup at all. Obviously, everybody's well aware of the struggles Jesse Winker's been having this entire season, really as of lately, with those troubles transitioning not only in the batter's box to his defensive play with this terrible noodle arm and a glove that can't seem to catch a ball. It's rolling off, bouncing off, whatever. So Jared Kelenic, hopefully, we need him. We need September Kelenic, man. It was 357 days. The day that he got called up was 357 days after Jared Kelenic had hit that clutch 2-run double against the A's in September of last year, and he was holding up that believe sign. So we need September Kelenic to come back and do his thing and to help us make this final push to get the best possible season that we can have in these playoffs, because damn it, we need it. We need his help.
We never thought we'd say it.
Never thought we'd say it, but here we are. We need his help. Hey, in his last 15 games in Tacoma before he had gotten called up, slash line 350, 412, 650 with 6 doubles, 4 homers, 11 ribbies, 6 walks, 4 stolen bases over a 15-game span. All right, that's good stuff. We want to see clicking. Jared, have that transition over to the MLB level. We will appreciate the hell out of it. Another big note from this week, big highlight from this week, Mariners pitchers. Luis Castillo, 5 years, $108 million, inked up, signed, sealed, and delivered. We got the man where we want him. That's great. That's great. That's what we need for longevity with this pitching staff, to continuously, year after year, for at least for the next number of years, have a chance at being one of the most dominant pitching staffs in the league. Inking up Luis Castillo, that's helping with that. I'm pumped to see that.
Yeah. Lastly, as far as highlights, more of a negative. Julio Rodriguez is back on the IL with those back issues. 10-day IL. Should we be concerned about his presence in the playoffs, or?
I mean, I don't know if we should or shouldn't be. I'm concerned, man. Yeah. I don't want to see our rookie of the year, our franchise player right now, be injured at the most important, arguably one of the most important times of the year.
Yeah.
Closing out a season where you need to finish strong.
I mean, that's catastrophic. It's
catastrophic. If it goes to where we don't want it to go, it'll be catastrophic. Right now, they do anticipate, when they put him on the 10-day IL, they did anticipate it would be 10 days. It would not be more than that, which would give him, I believe, at the time of injury, the 2 last games of the season for him to play and hopefully get his bat right, his timing right. We'll see if that actually happens. But yeah, right now it should just be 10 days.
Do we know how his MRI came back?
No, unaware of that yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But hey, all in all, terrible road trip, guys. Terrible road trip for the Mariners.
Hey, we didn't get swept.
No, we did not get swept. We did not. We finished 3-7 on the road trip. 1 win against every team. 1-3 against the Angels. 1-2 against Oakland. 1-2 against Kansas City. Yikes. Let's bounce back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's bounce back. We got coming up. We're home. We're home. All right. Let's finish this shit out strong. We're back home. Off day today. Get your mind right, Mariner players. Get your minds right. And let's get ready for Texas. Let's get ready for Oakland. Let's get ready for Detroit. Coming up next, it's the interview with Barstool Carl. Again, at Barstool Sports. He is the co-host, the host of Starting 9 with Jake Arrieta. Give the man a follow. Give the man a listen. If you're like us, you like baseball, it is one of the best baseball podcasts out there.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, one of the things I wanted to do before we hopped in, excuse me, I told you I lost my voice this weekend. One of the things that I wanted to bring up, but we didn't have a whole lot of time. Well, that's a joke because we had plenty of time. The interview went well over an hour and a half. Carl is an incredible podcaster, knows what he's talking about, knows how to make it fun. One of the things we didn't get to talk about that I had initially planned to lead off with, along with podcasting, Carl writes a lot of blogs on sports as well. One of the blogs that we were able to track down as for relevance, and I hope Carl's listening to this, he wrote a blog on Barstool titled "The Mariners Can Fuck Off for Making Fun of Steve Bartman." And for those of you who don't know who Steve Bartman is, I'm sure you do. He's the guy at the Cubs playoff game that reached over the foul pole or the foul line and interfered with a player. Ultimately, ultimately ruining the Cubs' chances to move on to the World Series. Was it? Anyway,
it was a really impactful
viral,
play. He got in the way.
Viral.
Everybody, hey, if you don't know who Steve Bartman is, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean,
everybody knows who Steve Bartman is. Carl was absolutely pissed. He didn't remember writing this article. He said when Max asked me, I've written over 5,000. Fair enough. But it was funny. He was talking so much shit about the Mariners, saying that we're the worst franchise in sports history, and all
exactly. So, and for context, the reason he wrote this is because in 2020, when fans weren't allowed in the stadiums, instead cutouts were. COVID year, right? One of the cutouts that was shown on TV at home in a game against the A's in August of 2020, there was right along the left field, foul line, right where Steve Bartman made that fatal mistake, was a cutout of Steve Bartman at a Mariner game. And it sounded like Carl and I'm sure many other Cubs fans didn't take it too graciously.
No, they were all pissed. It was funny. It was funny because every single one of these articles written by all these Chicago-based media places, they were all getting pissed at the Mariners for bringing Steve Bartman back into the spotlight. However, we were paying tribute to just an event that happened in baseball, and we, whatever. Chicago media was the one that brought him back into the spotlight by writing all these articles about him. There were like 15 articles about this one little thing, and not a single one was written by anybody in Seattle. So it was pretty funny.
Now, one of the things, and this is where we'll lead into the interview here, but one of the quotes that I took from his blog, this particular blog, was, get this. So his main argument, and you can tell that his feathers were ruffled. The hopeless, pathetic, emotionally unstable, and historically irrelevant goddamn Seattle Mariners. If baseball teams were actual people, the Mariners would live in their mom's basement. But mom died like 18 years ago, and the Mariners refused to sell the house because they're a lazy asshole, and it's easier to just keep things the same. So they sit inside, draw the blinds, and watch family videos from the mid-90s when times were better, when life wasn't completely sad and pathetic and filled with identity issues. End quote. Now,
Buzz's girlfriend. Woof.
Yeah. I didn't take too much offense to this because he's arguably right. But the one thing I wanted to ask him, and maybe he'll respond to us, is, the rest of the article goes on to say, M's have had a frustrating overall franchise, which we certainly have. But his opinion is that we have no business making fun of his. Even after all these years, the Steve Bartman incident took place in 2003, and the Cubbies won the World Series in 2016. Does it really still hurt that bad? But then again, he's had a history of calling out teams for stupid shit, which I totally respect. Like on his latest podcast, he mentioned when Atlanta Braves were playing the Timmy Trumpet song during a rain delay, which is Edwin Diaz's song, and they weren't even playing the Mets. It just was, to be cute. So he calls shit out when it's warranted, but I will say this though. I will say this: Barstool Carl, the Mariners are his AL team. They are his team now. He did a phenomenal job of coming to the interview that we had with him with his homework
prepared. Done. He did his homework, and he actually seemed to give a shit about the Seattle Mariners and to give a shit about what we've got going on and brewing here up in the Pacific Northwest. And it was a lot of fun. It really was a lot of fun talking with him. It's just another baseball mind. Yeah. And for somebody that's just been in the game, in the podcast game, in the baseball world for, 10 plus years, really cool to get his insight and to just hear somebody else's perspective on the Seattle Mariners from an outsider's point of view, from an outsider who we know is creditable. And so enjoy this one, Mariners fans, and forget about what we went through this last week. Let's focus on the week ahead. Let's focus on the last 10 games of the regular season. And by God damn it, it seems like this drought's going to end. So be happy, be on the edge of your seat, Get ready to witness some crazy shit to go down. Get ready to listen to a phenomenal interview. Get ready to listen to a phenomenal interview with Barstool Carl. We'll see you at the stadium this week. Appreciate y'all. Go Mariners.
Go M's. Mariners fans, you've heard of Barstool and the infamous Barstool Sports. We've got Barstool Carl here with us as our guest today. He's the host of another MLB podcast, Starting Nine. You can follow him at Barstool Carl. Carl, thanks for being here, man. How you doing?
I'm great. Hey, thanks so much for having me, guys. Chris, thanks for reaching out. You guys do a good job, and I'm very excited to talk to Mariners fans and just kind of get a sense of what's going on with you guys. I've been hot on the Mariners for a little bit here, not nearly as long as you guys, but 2022 certainly captured my attention as we kind of get into the end of the season here and get into the playoffs. Certainly a team that I think has an opportunity to really hit a national chord here. So I just want to thank you very much for having me on. And what a time for me to be talking to Mariners fans, because you guys look legit. I can't wait to get into the team and the lineup. I got some good nuggets and notes on these boys, but thank you very much. What's going on with you guys? Are you guys freaking nervous?
Shit. Right now, let me answer this one. Right now, man, if you were to go scrolling through Mariners Twitter, you would see yesterday, the day before, these last series against the Angels, where we lose all games except for the final one. Same against the Oakland A's here today. We squeezed out the win there. Mariners Twitter's on fire. People are getting nervous and whatnot. I'm all right. I like with the cushion that we have. The Orioles are kind of just barely hanging on by a thread. I'm pretty confident we're ending this 21-year drought. That's exciting. We've gotten to the point, at least us on the show, to trying to pick and choose where we're going to end up on the wild card spot. Yeah. Is the first one, is the last one, is the second. Before Canada lifted their vaccine requirement, I was just staying far away from the second spot. If we go to Toronto and we can't have people who aren't vaccinated play, we're screwed. We're absolutely screwed. That doesn't matter anymore. I'm not scared. I'm not getting nervous about how the season's going to end. I think we're going to be just fine. We're going to get in. Right now, we got some health issues. Gino Suarez, he's out with a busted index finger. Julio went out in the first inning today with more back spasms. That's not great. But we just got to have our guys that have been coming up, bottom of the lineup, or your kind of secondary players. They're stepping up. Kelnick came back today.
Yo, you guys just got to finish that season. You guys 4.5 game lead right now on the Orioles at the time we record this, I believe.
Correct.
Yes,
4.5.
Five after we won today.
Okay, so very, very much at this point, not making the playoffs would be a catastrophic failure at this point that would people would be talking about for a very long time. So I'm not going to say that's not going to happen because I know enough about baseball. We don't do that around here, but
correct.
But from a standpoint of getting to the playoffs, then you guys want to make moves. Let's make some moves. The Mariners are deep enough to make some moves. I'm 100% sold on the pitching staff, the roster. Now we got to get the injury report on Julio, though.
Yeah. Well, look, here's the deal, man. We have a phenomenal pitching staff. The question is, you look at our hitters. We've got France. We've got Julio. We've got Haniger. We've got Gino, right? We've got some younger dudes that have shown up and shown a hot bat, but there are moments like you look at the rest of our schedule, right? For the rest of the season, less than 20 games left. We've got recently faced the Angels, just finished the series with the A's. And now we've got Kansas City, and then we go back home. And we've got the A's, we've got Detroit, right? These are nobody teams. These teams have already been eliminated. But you look at Toronto, you look at Tampa Bay. The rest of their season is filled up with AL East matchups. So they're going to go out and beat each other up, right? That's what we're relying on. But you look at the last two series, our performance. And Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but shit like that is concerning. Because our pitching, no matter if we give up 2-3 runs, bullpen or starting pitcher going 7 deep, like it's not going to matter if you don't hit the damn ball. So that's our only concern at the moment, and at least mine. I'm speaking from my own personal feelings.
Yeah, well, that's exactly where you should be speaking from.
Yeah.
And that's my perspective is, and this is a thing that like, I think baseball fans struggle with because like nobody knows any more than anybody else generally. I'm dead serious. Like people think they're like, oh, well, I'll tell you what they need to do, or I'll tell you what the front office is going to do, or this is what really should happen. And the level of certainty fans will talk like that is can be alarming and stuff. So I'm not trying to get too deep here and everything, but like speaking from your own personal perspective, you're watching the Mariners every game.
Yep.
You're taking the time to do a show about them. You're passionately care about them while doing other stuff in your life. Like you better be damn right that's your own personal opinion. You're coming from a good place. And on the spectrum of Mariners fans and the people who are walking around with opinions about their own team, you're probably going to be in like the top 1% of the people who are qualified to have an opinion. Now, whether you know it or not, you got your head up your butt. But if you're willing and passionate about where you're coming from and saying like, this is going to be a problem for us because I've been watching, I feel the bats can get slow and we get in this, we can get into slumps, and you see that and you feel that that's qualified. I got and I don't think anybody should have a problem with that. And, but like I said, this is a hard game to follow because there's always so much more information to learn. And there's always this concept of like, oh, the front office guys are so smart. They got the computers. They got all this information. They're watching all this stuff. If you've ever like sat and talked to a scout, and I don't want to disparage the scouting industry. I mean, we're not talking about the smartest people in the world here, right? Like the baseball world itself is just very, to me, exclusive or inclusive or hard to access. But then once you get in there, it's a sense of familiarity and being around it in industry specific knowledge and stuff. I say all of this because fans are equipped with like a lot of information, and it is not this big mysterious thing that people think it is. The mysterious part is the relationships and the stuff we don't know about. But from the perspective of you saying, I think this guy's a swell player, or I think this guy should be playing more often, or I think that this reliever should be getting more opportunities, go right ahead. You guys fucking fire away, man. That is well within that anybody should be able to say. But when people come in and say, this guy's not playing hard, oh, I don't like the way that this guy, I don't like his attitude, or, he's got to coach this guy differently. Like that's where people got to take a step back. And this is a long-winded way from a small comment you threw away, which is a perfect example of just the passion I had for this sport.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, guys.
No, I appreciate it. You bring up a good point because, but on this podcast, we've talked about, take, for example, Jared Kelenic, now that he's back, and you talk about Torrens and Kelenic that just recently got called up as of last night. Torrens hit the bomb in a pinch hit situation. Kelenic went 2 for 2 today, home run and an RBI double. Right. But for the longest time, to your point, Carl, like I've been complaining about, say, for example, Jared Kelenic's attitude the entire time. Right. The guy is mentally, he's not strong. He has a whole lot of potential. He rakes down in AAA. He has for quite some time, but he's had 4 or 5 stints with the Mariners. He's barely back in batting a $180.
What do you think the Mariners could do better for this kid? Because let's keep in mind he's a kid, right?
Sure.
Big trade piece. And the other part is trading for other guys too and veterans and stuff. He thought he'd get the opportunity. I remember writing a blog passionate about the fact that the Mariners were idiots for treating him the way that they treated him. I think this talk about his attitude and stuff, it'd have to be on record. It would have to be like a glaring issue. And even then, is that known with him that does he have bad attitude issues, or is it like we wish this guy could reach his potential faster?
No, it's very much the former.
From where Max is coming from, I think it's just what he's seeing on the TV, right? When Kelenic strikes out, helmet slams to the ground, he's yelling, he's cursing, whatever it is.
Can't do that.
It's every time. It was every time early on in his first few stints where he's coming up. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Andy McKay. He's the director of baseball development, player development for the Mariners. And he referred to himself as kind of the principal of the Seattle Mariners organization, whether it's in the MLB, whether it's in single A. He basically is the principal for the entire curriculum, we'll call it. And part of his role is being a mental kind of guidance counselor for all of these people, whether they're Carlos Santana and been a veteran in the league forever, or whether it's a Jared Kelenic and they're just trying to get themselves started. He's been able I think, to do a really good job at getting these players, Kelenic in specific, I know he's done work with him, getting these types of players to not think about the last at bat, not think about the last pitch, not think about the next at bat or the next pitch, just staying in the moment and living in the moment. And the more
it's very heady out here in Seattle.
So
very
yeah, it's a
meditative.
lot. I mean, that's a lot for a front office guy to be getting credit for. But I mean, it sounds like it's a philosophy. It sounds like the
Correct.
Mariners
Yeah,
are putting
right.
together this deeper thing, which I got some notes on the roster that make some sense. And when you talk about Andy McKay like this, so this is the type of specific knowledge I'm saying. Like, you guys follow the team know all this stuff about Jared. Where me watching it more as a national perspective and seeing him get traded over from the Mets, and then a lot of the other trades that have followed, and you would think playing time. And so the question is, the talent is there. The numbers are AAA is at 295 at AAA. I think with an over 600 slugging percentage is waste of time. Is it Tacoma? Waste of time.
Tacoma.
Yeah, waste of time to be in Tacoma for that guy.
Yep.
But it's a big leagues. We're not developing in the big leagues unless we're in last place and it's September and you're up here. When you get to the big leagues, you're supposed to be big league ready. And so it's got to be tough because he is young and he's got all that talent. But when you're that young, you do have to have like assurances that, hey, you're going to play and all that stuff. But if you're the Mariners, you're in the playoffs in 20 years and you traded for Jesse Winker, you got a 31-year-old Mitch Haniger who's been grinding it out.
And we got to call it. We traded for Eugenio Suarez now, not Jesse Winker. Suarez has
Jesse
been the real
Winker's
key piece in that trade
at this point.
Yeah. Whoa. I know Jesse Winker's 99 OPS plus right now is not exactly what you guys were hoping for, but
sure.
I'll tell you right now, there's a very, very big reason why a lot of these players in the Mariners collectively have been acting like badasses since starting the season at 18 or being 18 and 27 on May 25th, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because guys like Jesse Winker are walking around that clubhouse not giving can I say the F word?
You sure can.
Not giving a fuck. That guy doesn't get, if you're throwing unless you're throwing 103, he might come back in the dugout and laugh about it. He's never, ever in a batter spot being like, oh, I'm overmatched. He's like one of the coolest, craziest, biggest swinging dicks, tough, ready to throw down for his teammates. And so if you do have more tentative guys, I don't know, say a guy like Ty France, where I don't know him at all. I just know the career trajectory and finally getting a chance to play every day. He may not be as assertive as his profile suggests throughout the start of the season. Maybe if a guy like Jesse Winker is a good person this is all pure speculation. Maybe a guy like J.P. Crawford, who's toiled in mediocrity throughout his career, it's good for him to be around a guy like Jesse, who's coming from a situation in Cincinnati that's like, yo, this wasn't glamorous or whatever, and this is how I carry myself. There's something to be said for that, because you can carry yourself like that in Cincinnati and then come into a clubhouse that hasn't won in 20 years. It's not to say, now don't take this as Jesse Winker doesn't deserve an award, but small, little, itty bitty, tiny little things like that just add up along the way. And if you really look into the Mariners, from my perspective, looking at the Mariners, it seems like they've really hit on a lot of these things. These trades, we talk about these trades for a second. Everybody in your lineup's been traded for, except for Julio, $1.75 million signing bonus is a 16-year-old. Mm-hmm. Whoever pulled that signing bonus, which I think is in the top 40 all time. It's not a record-breaking signing bonus, but he was 16 years old and he got almost $2 million. Whoever did that, I mean, it was, we say in Chicago, get that guy a beef sandwich. That's an unbelievable signing. But then if you go up and down, Cal Raleigh being drafted in the 3rd round out of Florida State, young kid. I mean, what a great profile to have a low average and a high slugging percentage. He's got, if he doesn't qualify for it, but you guys know the statistic isolated power. It's a statistic that measures true power. It's the subtraction of slugging percentage. You subtract batting average from slugging percentage. Mm-hmm. And what the measurement gives you is like a percentage of total bases that you hit that are not singles. So it's like nobody cares about single. If you want to measure guys where like what percentage of their hits are like big thunderous hits, Cal Raleigh, if he's very close to qualifying. If he did in Major League Baseball, he'd be ninth in isolated power behind like Judge, Shohei, Jose Ramirez. Now, if you polled baseball fans outside of Seattle and said, "Who's Cal Raleigh?" I could be even saying his name wrong. Do people even know this kid? No. But what, 23 years old, making $750,000 for the next 3 years. Pay attention, Seattle. And I said I want to talk about the trades. We're not even talking about the trades. Ty France, Adam Frazier, J.P. Crawford, Suarez, Winker, Haniger, Castillo, all these guys you've brought in. And now if you're telling me Andy McKay's got this good cultural philosophy, now you're bringing in a number of solid veterans that big leaguers and peers across the board say, if you heard another big leaguer talk about Ty France, they'll tell you he's one of the best hitters and pure baseball players they've ever seen since they were 18 years old and they were coming up in systems together. Absolute stellar reputation. Jesse Winker, known as one, as I was talking, diehard, just crazy dude. You know, putting guys like Suarez back into a playoff situation. Like, come on, we can get back into the playoffs. Crazy good stuff.
I totally agree. I think a lot of, I mean, you go through the years and like, you know, you recognize this, Carl, like we're talking about a franchise and folks that have, you know, witnessed their glory days rooting for the Mariners in the 90s. Right. And then you're looking at 2001. Right. But nothing miraculous really has happened since then. I think admittedly, a lot of the trash talk that we might throw to guys like Winker when they're struggling. I certainly was ripping Cal Raleigh a new one last season when he was hitting a buck.
Beginning of
50.
this season, you were too.
No, I was, but he turned it around.
Yeah,
and
but,
now,
but I think it's fair to ask you back though. The next time the Mariners have that kid and he's in his second season, will you remember Cal Raleigh's 112 OPS plus for a team that made the playoffs for the first time in 20 years?
Of course not.
Because these are the type of things that, like, you know, this is baseball. This is gonna happen. Like, like in the moment and stuff. That's why, like, well, you guys have been bad for so long.
Sure.
That, like, it's got to be so frustrating. Because like that's one thing when the Cubs got good. Because I am a Cubs fan at my core. That's who I am. We hardly talk about the Cubs on starting nine for good reason because they're just there's nothing really there.
Yeah.
But as a fan, you're like, there's like, once you get good, the expectations change a little bit. And you start to get like a little bit more like cranky.
Yeah.
But now that it's all past and they were good, they won the World Series, and now it's all gone. Now watching the new players come up and seeing the team, I do feel significantly more patient. And I know they're not good right now, but I mean, really just like, there's something about coming out of it again. It's like a second marriage or like a third marriage, or like I've already been through like the heartbreak and the love and the adulation and the celebration and the downfall and divorce. And we moved the stuff out. Now I'm watching them get married again, and now they're having kids. And now it's just like, sure, if I got married again, I'd probably be a completely different husband. So as these guys are coming up through the system and stuff, it's interesting to hear this because to me, I look at Cal Raleigh, I'm like, why can't the Cubs draft a guy like this in the third round? Third rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Is he good defensively?
Is really good defensively. I think
he's fairly good. He's very good.
He just hit the 2020 club.
Yeah.
20 homers, 20 thrown out runners.
And it's been years. Carl, it's been years since.
Let's go.
Yeah. It's been years since we've seen a Mariner catcher hit above 25 home runs.
Well, you guys are.
Mike Zunino was the last one.
You guys are. Right. Mike Zunino is third overall. Come on.
I did love some Mike Zunino. I got his apron.
You picked third overall. You picked third overall. You have an obligation to draft somebody that either plays for the team for like 12 years and is just sweet, or there's somebody who is like an all-star.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So, Carl, have you heard of a guy?
I mean, wasn't he an all-star though? Because now
he was an all-star.
He was also for Tampa Bay when he was hitting.
He was hitting
190. Well, no, exactly.
It was terrible.
Yeah,
there was
it felt like a pity.
There wasn't a group of catchers to pick from.
You know what? People, if anybody from Barstool that like follows Starting Nine or any of these baseball shows that was listening to this right now, they're screaming into their phones right now. Do not get him going on Zunino. So, guys, I'm just telling you, it's been a while since we've talked Mariners. Don't put me down this path. It'll be midnight, and I'll just be sitting here going through his game splits from 2019, talking about why he's such a fun. Never mind. I like Mike Zunino. Nice guy.
Yeah, nice guy for sure.
Nice guy.
He had some fun on the Mariners, and we had some fun with him too. Am I kind of glad he's gone? Yeah, sure, but that's not relevant. I think overall, to your point, I was going to ask you, and I wouldn't be surprised if you said no. Have you heard of a guy named Dustin Ackley?
Yeah, Dustin Ackley, it holds the College World Series record for most
North
hits.
Carolina.
Broke Sam Fold's record. Sam Fold,
Mhm.
who's notable because he went to Philip Exmoor Academy, which is a prep school in the Northeast of the United States, which does not have a baseball program at all. Then went to Stanford and then was an unbelievable player for Stanford.
Tore it up.
Has juvenile diabetes. Played for the Cubs. He might not have juvenile diabetes. I could have just made that up, but I know Dustin Ackley broke all of Sam Fold's records at the College World Series. Dustin Ackley is a tragic story of a professional baseball
Sure.
player, because he was as much of a sure thing ever. Second overall pick, I believe, in 2009, profiled as a center fielder, even though he played first base at UNC.
Mhm.
Couldn't hit for power, lefty with unbelievable strike zone discipline. Played for
Fuck
Mike
me.
Fox and went to the College World Series all 3 years. He was at North Carolina, was ACC Player of the Year 2 times, was a 2-time first team All-American.
Sure. But right on. Then
That Dustin Ackley?
That's
that's
Dustin
the one.
Ackley. That's the one. Chris, remind me, when did he play
I'm
his
sorry,
first?
I can't help myself. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You did phenomenally. I didn't know that he played for the Cubs at one point, which is how separated I got from him. But Soba, tell me, when he played his first game as a Mariner, what year was it?
I don't know the year
Roughly.
he played his first game. We drafted him in 09, but
09?
he became. I just remember Mariners fans, people in Mariners fandom world, basically attributed Dustin Ackley's failure as an MLB professional to the way that he was managed in our system. We never really sent him back down to let him, collect himself, work on different swing techniques, whatever the hell it was. We just kept him in the majors, and he kept sucking and sucking and sucking.
That's the point, Carl. That's the point I'm trying to make, right? We look at an instance like Dustin Ackley, drafted first round. I mean, way the fuck up there, right? And we bring him to Seattle, and okay, let's roll with 2009. I don't have it off the top of my head, but here's the time, late 2000, 2009, 2010, whatever the fuck you want to call it. 2001 is still the last time that we've even been relevant. Yeah. We're expecting around this time, okay, Dustin Ackley, like shit's coming together, right? It all falls apart. Now, what that does, and we're, I hope I'm speaking on behalf of Soba, but as a diehard fan for a team that hasn't been relevant for that long, you develop this sort of skepticism towards everything.
Sure.
Right.
Well, that's something that you do. And sure, before
a lot of fans, a lot of people do. Yeah. Some, yes. I should say there's a big portion that's like that. And Soba, are you like that?
Not with Jerry Dipoto regime, because Jerry Dipoto has changed everything than the Jack Zarengic era, where it was basically a farm team for other MLB teams. The Mariners.
Yeah, Captain Jack is arguably MLB's worst executive.
Yeah.
Since Moneyball was like published, and people started looking at front offices, guys like regular Joe started paying attention to who a general manager was with a kind of a little bit more attention. Captain Jack would have been a good general manager, would have been bad by like 1970 standards. And from a national perspective, from outsider, not a Seattle Mariners guy, just refused analytics, often made things based totally on gut instinct, because I like this guy. Mm-hmm. They made jokes of scouts in the movie Moneyball, the famous scene of being like, well, what's his girlfriend like or something? And like he would think of major league players like that. The Robinson Cano deal is arguably the worst contract. Now he played. I know he was fine. He's fine. I'm not saying he was bad on it. I'm saying it made no sense. And that's just what it, to me, when I think of the Mariners, I think of the like the Ichiro era, which was productive. Mm-hmm. I know the last playoff appearance was 0-1, but then to me, it's like that starts to like wane around 07. And then there's this bright spot of like just King Felix stuff. Yeah. And the wave of King Felix fans
Felix,
And
Cano, Cruz. I mean, Carl, we were flirting with October a couple
Richie
times during there too.
Sexton.
Richie Sexton.
I mean, there's just a lot of it's just kind of blank. It's like a Zelda map in a game that hasn't been it's just like, I think that's over there. I can't really remember. I haven't played this game in a while. Like,
Sure.
But you know, the game's awesome. That goes back to the Griffey nostalgia days, which I want to touch on, but that's an important thing. But now that you guys are in this mode in the Jerry DePota era, like you're talking about, it should be easier for the fan base to let go of stuff. I mean, it was easy for us with Theo Epstein, a little bit different,
Yeah.
but not a lot. I mean, you guys are doing very well under this, and you guys have hit off in the extension of Julio. I mean, you only have 2 guys on payroll that are making more than $10 million. Suarez, and they're earning every nickel. Robbie Ray at $21 million, and then Suarez at $11 million. Everybody under that's 8-7. And a lot of these guys you've traded for are going to be manageable in arbitration. Ty France, limited defensively. I know he's fine. He's fine. He's a good ball player. But for arbitration purposes, listen to me. Arbitration purposes. I'm not insulting Ty France. He's an amazing player. If I'm the Seattle Mariners and I've got to go negotiate how much money I have to pay that guy, the fact that he can't go play multiple positions, that he's not dynamic on the bases, it completely changes his value, which means first basemen are the most replaceable positions in baseball, period, end of story. Meaning, when Ty France goes to arbitration, that's going to be cheap. That guy's got that will not cost. That's nothing. That's a drop in the bucket, man. And like you go through the roster, how many affordable players there are. There's going to be so much money available for a Kirby, for a Logan Gilbert to extend these guys to buy out arbitration. And with Ty France, if I'm the Mariners, I'm going to go to him this year and say, I'll just buy out let's make you a Mariner for the next 5 years. We love your bat, stay healthy, and give him that commitment.
Would you say that part of that, well, not part, but like most of it is because you look at the budget for the Mariners over the years, like we've been, I can't even think of the word, but we've been relatively cheap for the most part. And now that we're finally starting to be relevant again, we're looking at 99+% or percent plus odds for the playoffs. Do you think that's mostly on ownership's part to increase the budget for things like this? Because Jerry DePoto's plan, and we've talked about this, I mean, for a couple of years, Soba, right? Like his plan was to get us to the playoffs in 6 years from the point where he started. And is that still on track?
That wasn't like that. That was the way I looked at his plan. Like that's the way I talked about it. It was like a 6-year deal. He kind of had he's had 2 stories, 2 chapters. The one
what's his first year?
2015. So he came over from the Angels in 2015. And when Kyle Seager left last year, that was the last player on the Mariners roster that Jerry DePoto had inherited. After him leaving, it was a fully built Jerry DePoto team from top bottom and prospects all the way to MLB, right? And so the first stint, though, the first chapter of this Jerry DePoto book was when we had Robinson Cano, Nelson Cruz, Felix Hernandez, Kyle Seager, all those guys. 2018, we were damn close to making the playoffs and ending that drought. Didn't work out. And so then Jerry DePoto's like, all right, taking a step back, getting rid of these guys, big contracts, the Canos, the Felixes, the Cruzes, whatnot. He emptied everything and he starts trading for prospects. We traded Noelvi Marte and Taijuan Walker. And we got Noelvi Marte and Mitch Haniger in a trade that we did with the Diamondbacks. And now Noelvi's gone. We just use him in a huge trade for
Luis Castillo.
Exactly. And so Jerry DePoto has, let me come back to what you were saying here, Max. Not a 6-year plan, but now we're in the plan of Jerry DePoto completely tearing and rebuilding the team and the system, and took the worst farm league to the best, to being the best farm league. Not anymore because we traded so many, but that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to keep all of them. You're supposed to trade them and get assets back, proven MLB talent assets. And that's what he did. That's what he's done. And you were talking about, Carl, Ty France from San Diego. I mean, in the trade that we did with the San Diego Padres, we gave up Austin Nola and Dan Altivia. This was right before the deadline 2 years ago. Maybe it was last year. Let's say 2 years ago, whatever. And we, in return, got Ty France. We got Luis Torrens, Taylor Trammell, and Andres Munoz. Andres Munoz is arguably one of the best closers in the league. Not a closer, one of the best relief pitchers in the league right now. Ty France, he's been doing his damn thing at first base and in the batter's box. We also, I don't know if you're familiar with Matt Brash, but we traded another guy from the Mariners later on with the Padres, and we got Matt Brash. Matt Brash.
Yeah, slow start to the year, but it's been good lately, right?
Well, he had a slow start because he was starting. So then we sent him down to AAA. He went to the bullpen. He's come back. And ever since he's been coming out of the bullpen,
he's a great reliever.
He's been fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's been lights out.
Yeah. So just like a lot of good momentum pieces here, to be honest with you, you have to make those trades to get the veteran talent that's capable of winning games into the Seattle system, because you'd have to, the free agency is just like not in the cards. Just don't build that way. And what we haven't talked about yet that really deserves a ton of credit is the fact that there's 2 first-round draft picks in the rotation that are living up to the hype in Logan Gilbert and George Kirby.
Right.
And then to hit on those just completely changes the dynamic, which then opens up the ability to go get a Robbie Ray, which really, in the grand scheme of free agent starting pitchers over the last 5 years, like, sure, I'll take a Robbie Ray, right? Like, fine.
Yeah.
I'm coming from a perspective of when the Cubs went out and spent 156 on John Lester, and he's coming off all this shit in Boston. He's just like the biggest G in baseball. And you were like, all right, get him. But they didn't have, that was at a time when the Cubs were like, I think we have enough for a free agent. We've traded for Arrieta. He looks good. We've traded for Hendricks. He looks good. Rizzo obviously looks good. Chris Bryant's coming up in the system. Like, now might be time to go get that guy. And so I'm not saying Robbie Ray is John Lester, but it does kind of fit this narrative that, let's go get another guy that's out. I mean, Robbie Ray, did he win the Cy Young last year? Was he a competitor for it? Right.
Yes.
Right. So, and he's pitching well this year, relatively speaking. I'm sure Mariners fans, or some people are shaking their head and be like, we wish he was pitching like a Cy Young. Like, that's what we thought we were getting, but that's the nature of the game.
I don't think that's
he can come out next year. Like
Yeah.
Lester, I remember we got him his first year. He was solid. I think he pitched with 3.46 ERA. The next year he was like the ERA leader, finished second in the Cy Young voting. The next year was like a 3.3. The next year he finished third in Cy Young voting. Like, if you can get like, 2 really, really dynamic seasons from Robbie Ray, or even one, and then a couple other good years, I think that's a good contract, especially if he's healthy. And then obviously trading for Luis Castillo, the balance and depth of this rotation to close out the season, to go in October, to take on a 3-game series, which I've got no time. But the way that pitching staff is constructed, the 2 young guys are electric and can shut people down, and they've got good composure and good stuff. And Kirby, I mean, is
a phenom.
Really, right?
The man loses his mind when he walks someone.
Yeah,
the guy does
watch
not
that
walk.
guy and just say, man, I hope this guy stays healthy.
Yeah.
So from having that pitching staff, then allows the front office with these trades and these veterans. I mean, listen, Suarez is great. If you love the Mariners, he ain't your third baseman. Enjoy the time you have with him, bro. It's like you're in college dating a girl. Like, don't fall in love. Love him as much as, but don't hit your emotional wagon to him and hope that he plays out his contract. Suarez and Winker are averaging, you're going to get 5 years combined between the 2 players for an average of $11 million. You gave up James Dunn. You gave up Jake Fraley in 2 low-level minor leaguers. That might get in. That might starting pitching prospects might get up there. Big lefty hasn't shown any promise on it. That's a home. To me, those are home run trades. Now you get some. Now this is going to crescendo into my big point about the Mariners with free agency and building this team and what's attractive to about it in the long run and taking the season and kind of building some magic from it is you've got these veterans in here that are building this culture, and they're good culture guys. Okay. And you're getting to the playoffs and succeeding in a division that, like fucking Shohei and Trout are on you 2 of the best players in the world, in the history of the sport, in the division. Thank God their team is awful around them. And the Astros are going to do what the Astros are going to do. There's literally nothing you can do about how good the Astros are going to be for the next. You just try and be as good as you can to compete against them.
Yep.
And obviously the A's are a dumpster fire. So there is a little bit of a thing here where, like, jump on it. Right, a little bit of urgency. So if you get good season, like little October run here. I talked about that All-Star game coming back. The national branding around the Mariners They had those teal jerseys popping in October. What is it called now? T-Mobile?
T-Mobile,
yeah.
Safeco.
Yeah.
Safeco.
Love Safeco.
Safeco sold out. And how many? Like 55,000. They got upper decks on the upper deck. Crazy fans that know the Seahawks have no chance, that are putting all their psychotic energy into like a Saturday night game against the Blue Jays, and they win it dramatically. And what's going to happen is you have this story to go tell the free agency this year, and put in front of it in a pitch, an actual pitch, not a 3D diagram of what that stadium looks like when it's sold out, an actual sold out night and all that stuff. And then what you do is you're like, here, the name I have not said in all of this. They're going to be like, oh, we need someone that can take us to the next level with Julio, because J-Rod's so good, and you are the perfect 1-2 punch. J-Rod's so cool. He's got a great brand. And if it doesn't hit this year in free agency, if the Mariners are smart enough with this and it's a great extension, they're going to be good for a little bit here. Not saying you guys have a dynasty or anything, but your window, and then to go hit free agency big, or, the opportunities there are huge, and the money that can come in from a big playoff run, that really changes an owner's, willingness to be like, hey, isn't this great? Didn't you like that? Isn't this great? So there's so many things about the way your roster's put together, and then the opportunity you have in the next couple of weeks here, where can really impact the next couple of years. And that's just, again, my outside perspective. I know you guys probably sitting here being like, well, we've been bad forever, and but it is what I've been saying. As I say, I'm so excited. I'm dying to watch these Mariners playoff games.
Yeah. Look, I totally agree with what you're saying. My thing, like, when you've been this hopeless and frustrated for this long, right? Like, the first thing you gravitate towards is sustainability, or at least for me, right? Again, I don't, Soba and I have differing views on how this is being handled and the future of the Mariners, but I'm about sustainability, right? I think it's great that we're very likely to have at least a series in October. I think that's phenomenal. But, like, what the fuck does it mean if next year, like, we're not in the conversation anymore?
Well, what makes you think that next year you wouldn't be better than you are this year without any? Who's leaving your roster next year? I'll go through the whole list right now. Is Adam Frazier still there? He's down. He's not even playing well.
I know he isn't.
JP Crawford's the epitome of average.
Yeah, but JP was
most average shortstop in Major League Baseball.
I disagree. He was electric last year.
Sure.
He was electric last year.
And that's the crux of all of this, is that he was awesome. I'm sure. I'm sure.
But
under all circumstances, JP Crawford is lucky to grade out average when you look at shortstops in Major League Baseball. And I'm being as fair as I possibly can. Mitch Haniger's 31 years old in left field. You probably are going to need like a good look at that. Jesse Winker's on the books next year for $8.25 million. And he's been way worse than average Jesse Winker has been.
Yeah.
And so Jesse Winker in a contract year, probably next year is going to be like Jesse Winker in a contract year is going to be very productive next year. That's a guarantee.
I'll take your word for it.
Little bet. Let's do a little bet on that.
Okay, fine.
Jesse Winker next year, OPS plus over 130. I'm putting it right here on the Mojo.
Got it. I'm
taking the over. No, I'm taking the over.
Tell me why.
Because you look at Geno Suarez and you look at the year he had last year. I know he was playing a different position at shortstop. His batting average was $199, and sure, he still hit home runs. But then you look at Geno this year. New team, new stadium, new everything. Dude's hitting almost 240 right now. He's got over 86 RBIs. He's got almost 30 home runs. He's creeping up to it. The point being is you can have a shit year, and then you can bounce back. Jesse Winker has historically put up phenomenal numbers.
Yep.
At least in the batting side. He's a very, very he's average to below average fielder. That's fine, whatever. But his bat the guy can figure out. And Jesse Winker, Carl, what you were saying earlier, I'm going to kind of combine these two things here. You were talking about players coming to Seattle in free agency. I know we got Winker in a trade, but with the things that Jerry Dipoto has been doing, so you sign Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray came here. He chose to come here. Yeah, we gave him a lot of money, but he chose to come to Seattle, to the tip top of the United States in the far left corner, northwest Seattle. They have to travel far everywhere to play anybody, right? It's tough to get people to want to play here. Robbie Ray wanted to. Then we get Jesse Winker and Geno Suarez. I remember watching the interview with the Cincinnati media the day Jesse Winker got traded. Jesse Winker is saying, I can't wait to go to Seattle. I can't wait to be a part of that team and have the chance to run to play in the World Series, to win a division title. Stuff that I've never heard another MLB player say about when the Mariners coming to the Seattle Mariners. It's always like, oh, this guy at the tail end of his career, or this young prospect who ends up not panning out that comes to the Mariners. But the culture that's been built in Seattle has, where we're at today, these players are wanting to come. And Jesse Winker probably, maybe, I'm not going to say probably, maybe was trying just way too hard to be better than he was last year, to put, heavier swings on the ball and make as best contact as possible rather than just putting it in play.
Yeah. I mean, it's a new division too. It's new pitchers. It's a new travel schedule. There's a lot of things. Like it could be, I mean, did Jesse Winker, he could, who knows what's going, like, it could honestly be just like, it's a swing thought, or it's a bad stretch, or it's, a contact lens, because these guys like, and I know this sounds so, but it's like, when you get to a certain level and you've done it and Jesse Winker's productive, unless he's hurt, right? Unless he's hurt, like what you're getting from that guy. The nature of the sport, though, is like some guys just like this year was just was worse, and this year you were better and you had more hot streaks. And I know that sounds like Bull Durham or whatever, but like, the difference between a 300 hitter and like the 250 is a couple hits every month and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, but to Jesse, but if he is, and this is stuff that like can really, really get into a local fan base, where again, I'm not watching every single Mariners game, but if you're like, man, he's lackluster in right field, that's tough to swallow because the only like saving grace when there's tough defensive play is like, well, there's a reason it's tough defensive play. It's because we need his bat in the lineup. And so
it's his goddamn bat.
Harder.
Right.
It definitely makes it harder when the bat is not as good as it is, or there's like, you're waiting for the bat to get going as well as it has been historically. So that's it. That is a good balancing thing when you're looking at the guy. But to your point about the media stuff, like, I didn't know he was saying about the media, but as you're saying, it's like, that sounds like something Jesse Winker would 100, because he's not just saying, he's saying that to the team. He's just saying, I know the fans like to hear, and I know the media is like to write the story, but he's not saying, he's saying that to the players. That's like his message to the clubhouse. Like, just so you guys know, this is the guy that's coming in here. So, don't. Now, I don't think he's a guy that would chew out, like seek to chew out teammates. I don't think he would shy away from it.
He doesn't seem like that guy.
He will absolutely be the first guy sprinting into
he was
Buffalo.
That's right.
He was
the first
guy.
Right. He'll be right field, like the first baseman comes in. No. Jesse Winker comes and gets you from right field because he's just that type of guy. Can we talk about a playoff matchup? I did some digging on the Blue Jays, and I had like just a quick preview because as it stands, you guys are fifth right now, or are you guys sixth?
We're third. We're in the third wild card spot.
Okay, so I'm doing playoff seeding in my head.
Sure.
So for purposes of this conversation, we'll refer to the three wild card spots as 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
So the Blue Jays are currently 4.
Yes.
In the 4 seed, and the Rays have been playing. They just got swept, I believe, and so now you guys are tied with them, or maybe a half game up. So it's kind of like if there's a storyline with the Mariners I'm looking at for the closing week, it's like, are they going to be the 5th seed or the 6th seed? It would be hard to get to the 4th seed. That would be obviously best case scenario where you could be like, all right, boys, win out so we could have a home field in the wild card. So we'll just start to have I have a couple playoff notes, but I want to start there for a second. So you guys are 5, 6 right now.
We're tied 5-6 with Tampa.
Yes.
Okay.
And as
Okay,
we speak, the Rays are playing the Blue Jays, and as I last checked it, the Rays were beating the Jays. So I mean, you take a series like that, and if the Rays sweep them, and we go on a winning streak, it all changes.
When does this air? What
Monday.
day? Okay,
Monday.
so this is Monday, September. So the standings could obviously change from the basis of this conversation.
Surely.
So I will stay out of the details and into a higher level and say, I think it is utterly critical for the Mariners to secure the fifth seed at least. I think it's critical to be. Now you could say I'd rather.
I think that's worst case scenario.
Yeah. We've been.
Hear me out, boys. I did all the research.
Okay.
So let me pitch you on this. The Guardians are obviously going to be the 3 seed because they're going to win the AL Central. Okay. So the last wild card team will have to go to Cleveland, and people sleep on Cleveland big time. Okay. Now, if you do beat Cleveland, then there's a 5-game series against the Astros that no one will win under any.
Yeah, we'll get our balls plopped on our.
It wouldn't be against the Astros. It wouldn't be against the Astros.
It'd be against the Yankees.
3-6 plays 1, 4-5 plays 2. These are confirmed.
It sounds like It sounds like
3-6 plays. The 1 seed plays 3 and 6.
Okay.
Astros are going to be the 1 seed.
Yep.
So I should tee this up better with the playoff bracket here. The Astros are the 1 seed. They will play the winner of the 3 versus
You're
6
right.
wild
You're
card.
absolutely right. Yep.
There is no reseeding in the MLB playoffs this year.
Yep. Right. Okay.
I'm looking at so let the audience is watching. You're listening. Soba's working. Soba's working right now. That brain is just firing on all cylinders.
My gears are turning. I'm confused here.
Don't worry. I'm going to tee this up. Go ahead. What did you think? Because other people listening are definitely confused too. There are people who are going to agree with on what you're about to say. So let it rip, big fella.
Well, so from what I understood, Cleveland wins the Central. So then I understood the last wild card team would play the worst division winner in this situation, be Cleveland. And then after that, you're in the bracket with the Yankees, not the Astros. If you are if you're the first or the second wild card, you're in the same division for the playoff bracket as the Astros. The only way you're not in the same bracket as the Astros, from what I understood, was if we win the last wild card spot and play the Guardians for the AL Central.
Chris, he's absolutely right. As it stands right now,
he's got full-time jobs. I mean, let's be clear here for a second, because this is how this stuff works, and this is why I love you guys, because this is like the diehard fan stuff. Like the bracket came out like today. I had a notification on the tweet. I've been sitting here waiting for the bracket because I've been sitting here talking about the bracket on all our shows and stuff. So this is all fresh, hot information. So Soba, what they did is they said this year we're going to reseed. We're just going to set a playoff format. What Major League Baseball is trying to do is have more predictability in the TV programming, which I'm going to talk about in a second about the division series, which is why you do not want to play the Astros. You do want to play the Yankees, but either way, it's still a tough matchup. But they have there's no contingency, temporary, if this. They have the whole thing scheduled out, broken down, long in advance, and that also speaks to rule changes. And they say it's for the aesthetics of the fans. It's to make it a more packageable thing. It's making it more easier to package it up, because they know people don't want 4.5-hour games. It's a completely different fucking thing. Yeah. So I want to talk about this. So they did no reseeding, nothing. Up front what the travel schedules are. The fans can plan around and all this stuff. So the Astros will be the 1 seed, and the Yankees will be the 2 seed. They will have buys. The Astros will play the winner of the Guardians versus the 6, the last wild card team. The Yankees will play the winner of the 4 and the 5, which right now it means the AL East winner goes to the ALCS, which is actually kind of cool the way that's set up. But I don't think that's a good path for Mariners. So let's make this specific for the Mariners. To me, I think the Mariners want to be a 4-5. I think the Mariners want to be a 4-5. Because I don't think anybody can beat the Astros in a 5-game series. I don't think anybody in the National League. I think if all the playoffs were a 5-game series, I think the Astros
would murder you. You're going to get 2 Justin Verlanders, and then you get 2 Framber Valdezes, and then you have to go through that lineup. That lineup in 5 games is better. They're just too good, and it's too hard to win in Houston. You have to have weird stuff to beat that Houston Astros team in the playoffs since they've been good. And I know that's probably a lot of the cheating stuff too, but people don't kill me on this. But I would just, the further you could stay away from the Astros, the Yankees pitching staff, their starting pitching is off the edges to the Mariners in that. I'm giving a big edge to the Mariners in the starting pitching in that. And I'm giving an edge in the infield. I'm giving a huge edge in the infield. And I'm like, Trevino, Kale's been pretty good down the second half.
Right.
And like managing wise, Scott Service, former Cub, you know, and like those Yankees getting on a plane and going out to Seattle's, I think is going to be harder for them than it is for the Mariners to get on a plane and go out to New York, because all New York's travel is just up and down the eastern seaboard,
exactly.
where the Seattle they guys travel 15,000 miles a year or something ridiculous. Those guys will always have companion passes as long as they're in the sky. It's just so to be 6 to get to 4 and 5, and then if you get to 5, then it's like, well, we want to host the wild card. So that's a path for the Mariners. And then it's like you get to the ALCS, the pitching depth is where you guys can shine. You guys want to be able to, I mean, in ALCS, I think you guys have, of all of these series, I think you guys have the greatest advantage in a 7-game series if you can get to an ALCS, which sounds crazy. I think the hardest part is going to be getting out in the wild card.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be nerves and all. If you had a 5-game set and someone could go out and be nervous in game 1, I think you're going to have a lot of guys that are like, holy shit, dude, look at this place.
Yep, exactly. I mean, you look at I'm trying to think of the folks in our lineup that have seen playoff time, and it's not a whole lot.
I think Suarez has a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I think
Castillo, maybe
nope.
Castillo in COVID he did in an empty stadium, and he was this wasn't really playoff, but we talked. You know, I interviewed Luis Castillo this year on Starting 9 with the interpreter. I should have opened this. Awesome interview, hilarious, because it's just like the Spanish going back and forth. Very, very. What would I say? Fun loving dude.
Yeah.
Guy wants the ball. I said 3-2 count, game 7, 9th inning, 1-run lead, bases loaded. You're throwing the change, right? You know, the big change guy loves Pedro, loves the plus change.
Yeah. And
we've been using the translator all the time. And he was like, fastball. What? He's like, hello, 99. Hello, 99.
Blow it by him.
So that was fun. That was a funny moment. But now a funny moment that you can glean a lot from, at least from my perspective as a baseball guy, I just love that attitude.
Yeah.
Love that attitude. You know, it was like, I got 99 2-seam heavy. I'm coming right at you. And you're like, now here's the question is, who starts game 1 for you guys?
There's no question. It's Luis Castillo.
Yeah. It has to be, right?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Luis Castillo, Robbie Ray, and then this is the discussion we've been having: is the game 3? Is it going to be Gilbert or Kirby?
It's Gilbert.
You would go Robbie Ray game 2.
Game 2.
That's what I think the Mariners are going to do. That's what I think Scott's going to do. Yeah.
And I think Gilbert would be game 3.
And do we know wild card game 1, 2, 3? Which one is at home? Which one's on the road? I think the first.
No. If you're the higher seed, you get all 3 games at home. It's a 3-game, 3-day straight homestand.
Yeah.
See, this is the beauty of the game. We're just teaching each other stuff. So are you telling me right now that if you're 5, you guys better get that 4 seed. You get
That's what I'm. Yeah. So if we don't have if we have the 5 seed, and this is why I was so concerned initially about having the 5 seed, and then if the Blue Jays were to get the 4 seed, the Mariners have to go to Toronto. Robbie Ray, we went there to Toronto this year already, and I know the vaccine requirement for Canada has been lifted, but pre-lifting of that earlier this week, Robbie Ray, he wouldn't have been able to go. He's not vaccinated. We're pretty sure Mitch Haniger, we're not positive. He was injured when we first went to Toronto this year. He was injured, so he didn't go, but we're pretty sure he's not vaccinated. I mean, Robbie Ray and Mitch Haniger, I don't know who else isn't vaccinated, but that was a huge, like, oh shit, we better not get that 5 spot and have to play to Toronto. That's out of the window now. It doesn't matter anymore. But everybody in Seattle hasn't seen playoff baseball in Seattle for 21 years.
That's right.
So there's an argument in Seattle, in the Seattle fandom space of, I don't give a shit the people only want to finish as the number one wild card spot, which
right.
It makes sense.
It's good attitude though. I mean, you guys, that's exactly, I mean, set the bar there. It's attainable. It's more attainable for you guys to get that than.
And we have the tiebreaker over the Blue Jays. So even if we tie with them, we get them one spot. They come to Seattle.
Yeah.
And that place will be rocking. I'm
Oh
very excited to see the way Mariners fans come together, and not the diehards, because you guys been waiting for all this stuff.
No, we're talking.
I'm excited to see the way that the city is
Yeah.
gonna come out for it too. And I know that Seattle is I know Seattle's a city that very much likes to support, and there's like I want to say like a broader civic sense of importance to the sports, like just the city as a whole. You guys love
sense.
You guys very much love your sports there and are good.
We've got our own thing tucked away up in the corner here.
Absolutely,
like, that's the way we view
the United States, and it takes Exactly. It takes a lot to settle in Seattle. It takes a lot to move up there, right? I heard, like, I asked my parents, like, so how'd you guys get to Chicago? It's like, oh, your grandfather. It's like, then what happened? Like, that was it. Like, we never wanted to go west or anything.
We're like, we've gone too far, man.
Like, he had a good job at the gas company. You got a car. That's it. So it's like someone's like, oh, you live in Chicago. It's like, yeah, my grandfather had a good job at the gas company. He had a car.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a long-winded. But my point about with the Seattle and the fans. The place be rocking. So what uniform combination if they're at home for?
They're going blues. They're going probably blue and grays. They've been wearing that one a lot this year. We actually have the most wins out of
if they're at home. What
do you mean grays? What do you mean grays?
Yep. The blue top, gray bottom,
white pants
or white bottom. Excuse me, white bottom.
Okay.
White bottom,
but no teals.
Teal has
I love
to be
the teals
too.
I love the teals. I want the teals, but we haven't been rocking them that much this year. Tyler Anderson, he now pitches for the Dodgers. We had him last year, and he would pick the teal jersey every time he went out. Yeah. And this year we haven't been wearing them that much. It's been heavy blue tops, white bottoms. We got the most wins out of any team in one jersey, and it's in our blues.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a notable statistic. Would Fanatics publish that one? I didn't see that one. That's a good.
There's this guy. Hey, all right, hold on.
With a link to buy the jersey or something.
Yeah,
Carl.
Right,
this is if there's one person in Mariners Twitter for you to follow. There's one person. It's Alex Mayer. Alex Mayer. This guy, I don't know what kind of database he has. I don't know what kind of access he has to all this fucking shit. But he is throwing up the most random, amazing stats every single day of just shit you're like, why did you even think about looking this up? But this guy's throwing stat after stat that nobody would ever know how to even look up. And it's
I think I just pulled up a member of English Parliament here. What's the handle? It was guys
English Parliament.
Okay, so the Blues get the handle. I'll close with this. The Blues are disappointing. I'll say that. And very important to get that out there. The Blues are disappointing.
What disappointing from what aspect? What do you mean?
The navies.
Yeah.
The all whites are cleaner. All whites way cleaner. Yeah, I mean, listen, guys.
Our record in the all whites suck.
See, but this is what you're saying.
Okay, if you're talking about
what your record is, I'm talking purely. I'm talking about like. That picture comes on, they take the field. I'm telling you what I'm saying. Fine, maybe white bottoms, cool, sure. You look like a high school baseball. That's a high school baseball combination here, pal. All right, it's St. Charles North finishing 9th place in the Fox Valley Conference. I don't know why I picked them either. I'm a Chicago Catholic League guy.
Yeah, none of our
this is my high school, by the way. Shout out.
Yeah, nobody's gonna have no idea who that is.
No. Trust me.
I
am retweeting this and sending this out to I will have at least one person listen to your show this week. I promise you that. Okay. Last thing I had for you guys. Where is it?
You had mentioned Griffey earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, the sentimental nostalgia stuff. I was going to say Carlos Santana. I like Carlos Santana. He's been around forever. Good. That's another trade I like. I forgot to say that. So if he does something in October and like hits a big bomb, that's a name on your roster where like everybody else is going to be like, he still plays at Seattle. And they're like, he was in Kansas City earlier. Like, I thought Seattle traded for him. Like, yeah, no, they did trade for him, but then they traded him. they had to trade him again. So he was only a Mariner for 10 days. Now he's a Mariner again. He just hit a home run. That guy, crazy career. Carlos Santana, great.
That's all he
presence.
does.
Yeah. And then the thing about the Griffey stuff, you know, there is a sentiment, national perspective. Guys outside Seattle didn't grow up Mariners fans. There are so many people who love the Mariners. We keep talking about it. Like it's a thing that keeps coming up now that they're going to be in the playoffs. And obviously, huge thing is Griffey in the video game. More probably than anything else is the video game. And like the hey Junior, call me kid and stuff. And it was just so freaking cool and sweet. And I think in the history of sports, maybe I should just keep it to my life, right? Because that's what I can speak to intelligently. But in my life, outside of Chicago, in every other team sport, professional sport league, I don't know if there was like a cooler time, team, player, moment than like 95. I know he was great. Yeah, it's like 95 to like 8.
99 is when he left. Yeah.
Like, and then it's just those late 90s. And I don't know how much Mariners fans are aware that there are just like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people that were born in like 1980 and later that grew up like idolizing and just thinking it was the coolest play. Like, where's this place, Seattle? Like, it's where Ken Griffey Jr. plays. And like, now I can get going again, the Jay Buners and the Edgar Martinez's and the Jamie Moyers and Randy Johnsons of the world. But it was the pre-Ichiro era, the Mariners. And there is a sense of like, man, if the Mariners can get it cooking, you know, good luck in the playoffs. You know, have a productive free agency and everything. I mean, this is a team that can very much win over a huge national following. So everybody wants to see the Astros fail.
Absolutely.
Everybody wants to see the Astros fail.
We've been saying this I was just gonna say, we've been saying this for years, and I mean literally years. Like, you look at a team that has been so dry, and you win over the pity vote of the entire nation, and you look at where the Mariners are today, and you can't help but think of it as, okay,
we're an underdog. Everybody likes underdogs.
Everyone loves an underdog. Period. End of story. And so when we take it to Houston, which I mean, and it's, you know, and then if not Houston, we have the evil empire. And of course, I'm getting ahead of myself, but we got the Yankees. People fucking hate New York Yankees, and people fucking hate the Houston Astros.
I mean, a lot of people dislike the Astros. A lot of people dislike the Yankees. You would have, everybody else would be cheering for you guys for sure. At all stages.
There's a but.
Everybody be cheering for you guys. And then I think if you guys made it to the World Series and played against, you know,
the Dodgers.
I think Dodgers, Mets, Dodgers, Mets. Braves is where I think people would be like, well, but they won last year.
Yeah.
I think you guys do have the chance to be like America's sweetheart going into the playoffs. But honestly, and I'm not trying to discredit what you're saying earlier. Like, if pitch staff goes out 2-3, they don't give up the hits, whatever, it doesn't matter. Truly, though, and sincerely, this wild card round will come down to the pitching. And it doesn't even matter if these games are 1-0.
Yep.
Because there is this sentiment philosophy with the pitchers where throughout 162 and in games that are not like, okay, whatever, we won today, we lost today, control what you can control, go out, try your best, all that stuff. When it is a situation where you like, his playoffs, you have to go win. Those players will say, like, yeah, there's obviously a different fucking feeling. It's a different state of mind that you're in. And when you get pitchers in that mode, they're not in it 162. Scherzer can get like that. There's a handful of guys that can get into that mode, and they're like that every time they take them out.
Yeah, right.
Now, you guys might be like, oh, Logan Gilbert. No, he's not. I'm sorry. I know, but
no comparison.
There's a couple every now and then you'll run into a couple guys that are just complete
Garrett Cole, man,
lunatics about not giving up runs. When you get to October, all the starting pitchers get like that, right? Every single pitcher, everybody taking them, all those starters, you're getting the pressure is those pitchers are not on the mound nervous. There ain't nothing to be nervous, but their mechanics, everything is so dialed in. Everything's so habit and programmed into them. What really just matters is like their ability to then take that moment and are you a competitor enough to like execute and I'm going to put this guy away? Or do you kind of shy away and be like, man, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I don't know, this guy's good. Like, is there doubt creeping into your head? The nerves are not like there's so many people watching. I want to win a championship. I don't want to it's not, I don't want to let these, it's like, man, this guy's really good. I got to make a pitch here. I can't make a mistake. This guy's, it's about having the mindset of like, take the fucking hitter out of it. And this is my long-winded way of saying, for these games, these playoff games, and especially the way the league's trended this year, in the way we've seen Major League Baseball manipulate balls. I mean, these playoff games are going to be 1-0, 2-1. They're going to be over in 2.5 hours. They're going to be over in 3 hours.
Us, man. Yeah.
They're not, they are, you're going to get the absolute best out of best from both sides. And so I look at the Mariners lineup. I mean, I think you have guys that can grind out those gritty runs, the 2-out doubles and the Bloop Texas singles and stuff, because I don't think it's going to be like big swinging dick Aaron Judge show in the playoffs. I do think Major League Baseball is going to have a trick up their sleeve when it comes to the equipment. And I said that at the start of the season when they were launching the season and they had to compete against like the Masters and fucking like the get the attention going of like, hey, baseball's back, everybody tune in and stuff. And like they're like, oh, the dead ball era is like, no, dude, they're just doing that to get the game times under fucking 3 hours. So sure, the games are fast, and then as soon as people started bitching about the dead balls, here come the balls are right back in. The OPS is this year. A standard OPS this year is like 715. Last year was like 7. It's crazy what they're doing. But good luck, guys.
Yeah. We sincerely appreciate it. One final thought to your point. We're all too familiar with, I mean, especially lately, right? We've got the pitching. I can confidently say that. And we've got the bullpen, to your point. And God knows that we've been seeing a lot of 3-1 game, 2-1 games lately. And that's a good thing. But you know, what we want to see is people rallying around, right? And going back to my thing about sustainability, how do we keep this momentum of not just doing well, but keep the attention span on the Mariners? That's why we're doing this podcast, you know?
Well,
to an extent.
I'll tell you how.
They
win a playoff series. That's
right. That's right. That's exactly
win the wild card series. That's the goal. Win the wild card series.
Yep.
Win the wild card series, and you guys will have momentum and steam in the offseason, and you guys get people paying attention.
And for future
seasons. You guys should be going getting all these Seahawk fans that aren't. There's so many casual. I'm telling.
Oh, they don't know what to do with themselves.
In the full-time job of sports media in the Chicago market, the way people come in and out of stuff when they're winning and when they're losing, you guys coming off a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in 20 years. It is fair to say that like you guys don't, and like you guys are not like how old are you guys?
28.
Yeah, so you guys are clearly not even old enough to have like a perspective on what's possible when the Mariners are good.
Right.
So if any,
Fair enough.
you have no expectations. You should be excited to see how big it gets, because it's my take is it's gonna get huge. It's gonna get huge. And hopefully your show is and keep doing it every week and keep being, obviously you guys are super passionate about the Mariners, and then the team will a team there's nothing that can promote a show and a product and build a conversation like a good team that people care about. And if you guys are out here grinding when they're sucking and doing the Captain Jack, and you guys can talk about the Jerry, like I know when Jerry DiPoto came in, how bad it was. And I was there when I was sitting in the 300 levels, paying full price for a Coors Light at those days. I mean, that's how you have respect to the fan base that's going to show up when they're good, and they see, J-Rod hit a walk-off in October and they're freaking out. They're like, this is the best. And you're like, I told you it would be awesome.
Yeah.
I told you guys when it would go down, it was awesome. Was I right or was I right?
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully that happens for you guys. I mean, that's a certain, you guys are in an amazing position. You guys are in an amazing position to be talking about the Mariners, to be doing a show. And I think baseball is in a great spot too. I think baseball as a whole is in a great spot. And there were times when you're like, I don't know, I'm in, I'm out. Before the lockout, during the lockout, like this is the way they handled COVID. A lot of reasons are like, man, projecting this out, looking at it, and you compare it to other leagues, NBA, how much they do with their players, NFL, how much they control their players. In the middle ground is that MLB is just nothing over anybody, no leverage, nothing. Players, everybody hates everybody on each side. It's tough. It's very tough. And now we're in a spot. We're getting in the playoffs. Does anybody give a shit? Does anybody give a shit at all? No, we're gonna have 3 p.m. day baseball.
That's right.
You guys will be eating lunch out there in Pacific time.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. That's the best kind of lunch I can have.
Sushi as the Phillies take the field in a wild card game or something.
Yeah.
You know, one other thing I want to say that you guys look into the playoff schedule, the way MLB set it up. I do think the way MLB, and I'm not afraid to point the fingers at these people. I think they set up the ALDS schedule to benefit the Yankees. Because the Yankees have very thin starting pitching, so thin starting pitching that if the Yankees had to play a 5-game series under a traditional format, they would be a very tough thing for that starting pitching staff to pull off. Yeah. So check this out. So the Yankees, I think the wild card ends on like a Saturday or something or whatever. The Yankees have it. The ALDS has it's like 2 off days after the wild card. They play game 1, they're off. They're off after game 1. Then they play game 2. They don't travel. They're not leaving Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Game 1 at Yankee Stadium. Next day off. So off day before, then game 1, off day, then game 2, off day, then game 3, off day.
What the fuck?
Then games 4 and 5. And I can't make that up.
It's just are we talking conspiracy?
And if I don't have the schedule in front of me, but the stacks of off day from the end of the wild. So if the wild cards decided if the American League wild card, if the 4-5 goes 3 games, then they have 1 day off, and then the ALDS starts.
Yep. Yeah,
where the Yankees won't have been playing, and so then you'll play your 3 games, you'll have a day off. Wild card starts or ALDS starts, and then it's game 1 off day, game 2 off day, game 3 off day, 4, 5.
I call it.
So
conspiracy.
Are they alternating with American League games one day, National Leagues the next day?
Has nothing to do with the National League. National League's on a different schedule. National League's on the traditional game 1, game 2 off day, game 3, game 4 off. Yeah. They're not National League's. I'm like National League's like, oh yeah, that's the way you do it. Because if you look at it, it's like, well, let's talk conspiracy. And these are just, what the fuck do I have no, this is what we do at Barstool. We just sit around and we're like, you know what I think? I think. And so I don't know how familiar, your audience is or you guys are with this stuff. So like, I'm not a journalist under any stretch of the circumstance. I interviewed Ken Rosenthal yesterday. And I was like, so you're like a journalist, man. Like you got like sources and stuff. Like you got to like make sure you're right about stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh man, that sucks. Shoot from the hip, man. I'm like, hey, I'm reading the tea leaves here. I just say shit like, I consulted my statisticians. And this does perpetrate fraud to me. No, I mean, it is suspicious that it is suspicious, but it makes sense because the National League, I mean, if we want to get into this, like the huge advantage, the Mets and the Dodgers bulldoze. I mean, bulldoze. Except for the Braves in a traditional, 3 out of into the ALDS situation. So,
yep. I tell you what, Carl.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it very much. No, it's great Mariners talk. Go check out Starting Nine. I talk baseball every Thursday morning. My co-host is Jake Arrieta, World Series champion, Cy Young Award winner, former Chicago Cub. We're into it. It's our first season doing it together. So we got some good stuff coming from the playoffs. Been just a great experience. Helping spread the word about baseball this season, and just do it at a national level. New frontier for me as a Chicago guy, but it's been great partnering with Jake, and Go check that show out. It's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I very much look forward to talking to Mariners fans throughout the playoffs. I'm a Mariners guy. You're my number one American League team.
Damn right.
Hell yeah. One thing for you to check out, and this will give you a really good perspective on Mariners diehards. And maybe you've seen it before, but it's a documentary put on by SB Nation. And it's like, I think 6 parts. It's long. It's 3 hours total. It's the history of the Seattle Mariners. You've seen it?
Text it to me, okay?
Yeah. It's basically how like the Mariners shouldn't exist, and how like 95, that season, literally saved baseball in Seattle, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but in 1995
they're doing expansions, right?
Well, we were the last month of the season, we were like something like 14 games back of the Angels. They shit the bed. The Mariners went off. We ended up squeezing into a play-in game with the Angels. We beat them in that. All meanwhile, the city is having a vote on if they want to use taxpayer money to build what is now T-Mobile and to get rid of the Kingdom. And so while all this was going down, it's in the exact same time frame of the voting and the Mariners kicking ass and making the playoffs, and Edgar Martinez hitting the double to score Griffey from first to win the game. That literally saved baseball in Seattle. 1995, I'm 2 years old. I mean, I'm fucking young. I don't remember this. But when I'm watching this shit and I'm learning this stuff, I'm sitting here like, damn, what if I grew up without a baseball team?
Yeah.
Like shit.
We're certainly not having this conversation right now. So,
no, exactly.
I'll tell you that much.
Exactly.
And I am telling you guys from my own personal experiences I'm so lucky to have lived the life I have in baseball, and just growing up a diehard baseball fan. My dad's a White Sox season ticket holder. My mom's a diehard Cubs fan.
Mm-hmm.
My brother had juvenile diabetes, which was Ron Santo's charity, which meant I put me in like a radio booth with Ron Santo when I was like 6 years old.
No kidding.
And watching Cubs games and listening to him broadcast it on the radio. And then it's like, wait a second, am I a Cubs fan? Am I a White Sox fan? What am I? I'm just a diehard baseball fan. I'm in it. And then I found out, wait, I got to pick a team. All right, I'm going to pick a Cubs fan. But I grew up on the south side of Chicago where everybody's a White Sox fan. I'm too young to know that, like, wait, that's the way it is. But then I'm too deep into it. So it's like, fine, I'm a Cubs fan. Bullpen catcher in high school, walk on the team at Illinois, end up having a great career at Illinois, just get so deep into it. And then just being a diehard Cubs fan the whole way, growing up idolizing Kerry Wood and seeing Mark Pryor come and collapse in the playoffs. We're going to make it. We're not going to make it. Winning back-to-back division titles, 08, 09, but not winning a playoff game in the time. And then having a rebuild and bringing Theo Epstein, who was my hero. I wrote Theo Epstein emails and letters. Can I work for you? Tom Ricketts, can I work for you? Jerry Reinsdorf, can I work for you? I want to do anything I can to work. I just love baseball. And then following that rebuild and then getting a chance to work for Barstool, blog for Barstool, do a show for Barstool, talk about baseball for Barstool, and then having my team win while I'm talking about my team and giving you that sense of fucking like, it was worth it. I told you guys that it would be worth it. So I'm very much cheering for you guys. 28 years old. You guys have years. This is going to be a good team to compete against the Astros in the long run, by far, very much so. Little bit more work to do. Got to hit free agency, but it all hinges on the J-Rod brand. If the J-Rod brand, I mean that shit, dude, because it's going to trend more towards the NBA, where it's like, I want to play with that guy. I want to go out and hang out and play. I want to get paid. Because we're going to get to a point where you can go get paid. How it is in the NBA? We got max deals everywhere. I don't think it's going to be like, I think people are going to be like, well, you can get this from here, this from here. I think you're going to start to see guys where it's like, well, 250 here, 240 here. I'm going to take the 240 there and go play. I do think that J-Rod is going to have major influence, and especially with the Latin players, like a face. The minute he's like the 20, he's like the fucking face of the fucking next wave of the great.
You see that man during the home run derby?
I
mean,
they love his ass. The veterans love him. The rookies, everybody loves him. Yeah. And you guys locked his ass up forever.
That's right.
We did.
I mean, you did pay 3 to 4 times as much as the Braves paid for Michael Harris, which is more about the fraud the Braves are running on there. But we have to bring me on another time. You guys were playing the Braves in the World Series. I'll come on and talk all this shit about.
Did you see the game? Did you see the series that we had against the Braves recently?
Didn't you guys beat them 2 out of 3, 3 out of 2?
2 out of 3, but it was close
to
losing.
It was a hell of a last game of the series. It was as playoff atmosphere as you can get in the middle of the regular season, at least for fans being in the stadium. It was wild. It's fucking wild. I had one last question though for you.
Yeah, last one. What's up, buddy?
just it came to me just as you were talking about growing up, didn't know to be a White Sox fan or a Cubs fan. Obviously, you're a Cubs fan. What's your take on John Cusack?
Oh, man, that's
Rooting for
funny.
both.
Yeah, no, a guy in our office has a very strong take on that and has confronted him in a viral video.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
A long-standing take in the Chicago office that I personally don't have any beef with Mr. Cusack. I know that my co-host on Redline Radio, the Dog Walk Snake Drafts, and a lot of stuff with the rundowns that we put out of Chicago. Bad running with John Cusack. Successful actor, little strange guy. I've heard strange things about him. I've heard, but he's around. He loves his teams. This is what sports does.
He's irrelevant.
Guys.
Yeah.
All right. He is in his own little circle is like a legend, right? Like people love John. People who like John Cusack don't like John Cusack. You love John Cusack, or you're like, yeah, whatever. The guy from that, but there are people that love this dude. And there's something to be said about the fact that even though he's older, he's really just sucked into Chicago sports. And I don't think that's a good thing about John Cusack. I think that's more a negative thing about sports and how just demented and just what it does to us.
Yeah,
he doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
He didn't be standing in line.
Totally.
He'd be going to sit at these playoff
That's a very
games.
good point. Yeah.
Bro, you'd be sitting in Malibu right now, having a cocktail, talking to a couple older women that, obviously every single person, you know what I mean?
I do.
That's sports. I don't know if that makes him cool or if that just makes us all weirdos. I
makes
think
him one of
somewhere
us.
in the middle. It
makes him one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
thank
you guys for having me on. I did put that out and was I want to talk to some Mariners fans and get a sense of what's going on in the team. And I do feel in a better spot to talk about you guys.
Yeah.
And in our show and just and the blogs and the conversations that are going to come up because it's going to happen when it's the fucking Mariners, we don't have Mariners. I'm the Mariners guy, I mean,
right.
who's the, it's just still a develop, so it's it's good to have this insight. It's good to get a piece of your life. Thank you guys for letting me on your show. Congratulations on doing this show, second year. And I swear on it. There's nothing I can just keep doing it. There's something about doing a show that is as fulfilling as there's just something about it. And seeing it pop up on, you're like, dude, yeah, listen to my show and here's the link. And you started, but what's the name of it? What are you doing? To have a body of work and stuff. Good for you. It's been a great experience for me. The microphone's going, the questions are ready. You guys know your team inside and out. You guys are passionate guys. Keep doing your thing. I cannot wait to share this episode with our audience. I can't wait. I can't wait to talk Mariners baseball with you. Send me that documentary, please, too.
That's right.
Yeah, I will for sure.
Great stuff.
We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, Carl.
Monday Mojo, man. Recorded on a Sunday, dropped on a Monday.
Damn straight. Carl, it's been a pleasure. Do us a favor. Keep the Mariners in the back of your head. We're going to be something one day. You're an absolute professional. And say hi to your city for me. I fucking love your city.
It's a good city, man. I mean, we get a bad rap from mainstream media, and for a lot of reasons I don't want to talk about right now. But it is a great city, and we're very proud. We're very proud of what we have here. And probably the thing we're most proud of is people come in and they're out of town. We just like to show people a good time. And for the most part, unless you drive like an asshole, then obviously get the fuck out of here.
No, you guys are one in a kind. Do me a favor, take care. Hopefully we keep in touch.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. We'll definitely be staying in touch. And thank you guys very much. You can follow me at Barstool Carl. Again, I do my baseball shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays mornings. We'll be talking Mariners, and we'll be talking to you guys. I'm coming back for the World Series preview episode, or we'll figure something out here, guys. So thank you very much for reaching out. And thanks for having me as a guest. You guys are great.
Sure thing.
Yeah, right back at you, man. And if Barstool is ever looking to expand to the West Coast and get a Seattle Mariners podcast, I'll quit my day job today.
Yeah, perfect. And as anybody, as frequently as it gets posed to me in all manners and formats, I'm quick to remind everybody, if you do want to start anything with Barstool Sports, that is awesome. I encourage you. I am less meaningful than people who don't work for the company to get stuff approved. Okay. So there's a whole way to get in here. I'm telling you, I'm the last person to ask about it. I'm the only, and now that you ask, I might as well just add this in here. Because people ask, how do you get hired by Barstool? What has happened? I'll tell this: build a time machine, go back to 2012 when nobody was emailing Big Cat and Dave the way they are today, and then relentlessly email them once a week your blog and tell them that you'll do anything to work for them, and then get a chance and then just don't leave the party. no matter how
No.
bad or how obvious it is that you should have gone home a long time ago. Stick around and hang out. If you build a time machine, otherwise, though, just keep doing your thing, man. Blow it up. Just fucking blow it up. Actually, the best advice is get the show to a point where you can shop it and be like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know, like as soon as that feels like you might get hired, but it's like build it up to the point where you're like, yo, dude, the fucking Mariners are killing it. We're the biggest show in town. We know this stuff. Interview the guys, get the guys in, go behind the scenes, go email, get the credentials going. That's not hard. It's hard for me because I work for, but hit the PR department hard. Go to spring training hard. Talk to these guys. Talk to the low level employees. Do whatever you guys can to make sure people know that you have your heart in the right place. You're sending a good message for Mariners fans, for the fans, in a way that you're reaching them and stuff. Because I think people are asking those questions. I think the teams are trying to figure that out, and you guys are in a good spot because this is where major league teams really want to like. Hey, what do we do social media night tonight?
Yeah, no kidding.
This tonight? It's like,
no,
dude, you guys.
We got some
28-year-olds
out of Seattle that are willing to, do whatever. Yeah.
Right. And you know what? In no time, we're going to be 30 something years old. We have 2,000 episodes on our belt. Here's the body of work. We go on a spring training every year. We go on a road trip every year. We got an event at a bar we do once a month. Get creative. We sell merch. We're tied in. What can we do? How can we help you guys? I think the Mariners would love that message. That's my sense. But I'm just a bum.
Soba's got a boner.
Question.
Hey, let's go.
Soba, I got a hot.
Hold on, Schwabby. Last question.
I got a date.
I know you do. I know.
I got an excuse for you. I'll tell her. Don't worry about it. I'll send you a
last question.
Message.
So I'm curious. I've been wanting Barstool to do something, or at least in the baseball sector, to do something similar to the foreplay guys, where they're doing their Barstool Classic.
Oh, right.
If you were to do the softball, classic, beer league softball classic, where you guys, have you ever thought about that?
Yeah. So that's a big one. That's like a 1-day event. And that's a very hard thing I have thought about that, obviously. To scale it at a national level is a difficult thing. Mm-hmm. What makes a golf tournament nationally, it's very hard because there's a tremendous amount of people at Barstool that work on the golf classic and do an amazing job. Like it is. I played in Pinehurst. I went there. It is.
I went there. Yeah.
So you're a stick. Good for you, dude.
Yeah,
good for you.
Yeah.
It's such a well-run event that it's like, holy, I can't believe Barstool. It's such a good event. Now it's scalable because when they host that event, they partner with a golf course that's filled with professionals, that's extremely motivated. That's like, here we go. We got a range. We got this. You have options. Do we want to do this club? And they're usually high-end stuff, which then allows it to be a very good experience for the participants. And then if that's a very good experience for participants, then you're more likely to spend I think the initiation or the team fee in Chicago is a couple $100. Yeah. It's pretty pricey, right? So but what are you paying for? Obviously the round of golf, the opportunity to compete for the championship, to go to Pinehurst, but it's also just a crazy, awesome day. They treat you like pros. Like they shut that thing down. You're drinking, you're like just free booze, free food. It is literally like one of the best athletic experiences without being on like a team. Like I don't even know that. And so credit to the Riggs and Foreplay and the live event team, Lisa and all those people that put that stuff on.
Lisa does a killer job.
Dude, it's crazy. So I say all that to say, to then scan and say, all right, could we do this with softball? Is there softball professionals and, that I could partner there, or am I going out to a field and chalking lines? What does that look like from an execution standpoint? And what does the experience look like that can generate something where that would make people turn up and then talk about it and be in a way that you can build like a community and a brand around it, the way the Classic has? I think that's pretty challenging without significant like partnership in like maybe like infrastructure. Like if it's just me on the side being like, we're going to do a softball tournament or something.
Yeah.
One thing I had in mind though, that I thought was scalable was, and tell me what you guys think about this, because softball tournaments, you got to get a team, you get like 10 guys. Can we travel this? Max has got a date, bachelor party stuff. Sorry, maybe she ain't never gonna call you back, Max, but I got to pitch this idea.
She won't be listening to this. I guarantee you that.
Perfect. Then keep her around. The ones that listen, that's a red flag. I've been married for years. She hasn't listened to a thing I've said on Barstool. It's great. People are like, why is she married to you? So she doesn't. Whatever. She's like, are you tired at night? Like I'm coming home, like I'm ready to go to bed. Perfect. Good. All right. What do you guys think of this? Because there's stuff about the teams and then the competition, and you got to get the umpires, and you're like keeping score, and people are mad and saying, well, I thought this, the games are long. What about like a kind of like a party mixed with like a home run derby aspect? So like a national home run derby competition, but like a team format where like you and two buddies, and then we got to drop the top on it where it's like, no, dude, you can use -3s, old school, no rules on bats. I don't care what bat. You want to cork a bat? Fucking knock your socks off,
Go
dude,
for it, man.
because we're doing gross volume. We're doing total volume. Team home run, like 3 guys, 2 guys. It has to be some kind of team element, but you can't make it more than that. And then and then that would allow you to have multiple entries and participants. As if you get 10 teams, is 100 fucking guys. That's a lot of guys. And then how much does a team cost? But like a home run derby, and then you can mix in celebrities. It's easier to get a celebrity to come out and be like, hey, Urlacher, you want to play in this thing for a second? Or like, and I think those are, and then I think you get funnier moments and funnier clips, because then everybody has their own defined moment where it's like, all right, now coming to the plate, you know, here comes Max, but Max has got power because he just got dumped. He didn't hit the day tonight. So that's why
no power.
If
I had a better batting average this year than you, Soba. Get fucked.
My ass, you did.
Minor league parks would probably be down on that. Like, I think it'd be funny because then you could turn these minor league parks inside out, get the sound system going, open up the vendors, and just like have the guys out on the field doing stuff, have people out. And then maybe you could mix in like, all right, then we're going to have a party afterwards. And then anybody who wants to stick around, we're going to play a round of golf at some municipal course, like, you know, on Saturday.
Well, if you had the if there was a way to have the championship, and this is so far down the road, but during the All-Star break at the place, having the All-Star game, if you were to get those players to come and do the reffing or the coaching, you do charity event, right? Where the money you're collecting is going to a good cause the MLB supports, and you have that championship at the All-Star game before the Derby, before the game PR, itself. Man. I mean, that's going to fucking bring people in like crazy.
Yeah.
And players would be on board. Players would love that shit.
Yeah, I think, but in season, see, this is another. Players in season, players out of season are like Beauty and the Beast, man. It's like, what's that guy's name? Gustavo. Guys, from this Beauty and the Beast, what's his name? Gustavo.
The
guy who turns into a beast, for fuck's sake. Dr.
I
Jekyll
can't,
and Mr.
dude.
Hyde.
That was my least favorite Disney animated film.
That's my fault. Then I didn't know that. I forgot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't read the Scout Report beforehand. I didn't know. But my point is the change of tone takes between players in season and out of season is like, it's like night and day. So I think if I think a home run derby would have to exist around. I think it would have to be in spring training. I think it would have to call. I think there's some way where it'd be like,
sure, to start off, to get
players are still loose. They're still loose.
Maybe I don't know. Honestly, guys, this is the first time I've ever told anyone about this idea. So we're just spitballing here because it's like, well, what do you do? I know at some point I'm gonna be like sitting down and someone's like, hey, what are we doing? So I have like, you know, like my own like idea log. So I've now gone. I just broke an idea. So now I'm beholden to doing this. I don't
You're
know
welcome.
if I'm gonna do it. I don't know if I want to do
You're
it.
welcome.
So where's the date tonight? You got to tell the audience now.
I'm making her dinner, and she's gonna be here in 12 minutes.
Perfect.
And we're talking.
Well, you know what?
Date number 5.
Max. Let's meet her.
Oh, dude, that's perfect. Yeah. That's perfect because she's just trying to figure out like how intrusive this podcast is going to be into a budding relationship with you. So, I mean, better she finds out now than like next year
down the road,
or like
I can't.
Hey, February 14th. Yeah, you guys are in the market for fucking Dansby Swanson over here. No offense to JP Crawford, as I alluded to earlier. You know, and she's sitting there and you're over there twinkling your toes, and she's like, we're at the restaurant. Come on.
Yeah.
Slow down, man. Yeah. No, baby, I don't understand dance. So it's a little taste tonight. What are you making? Sorry, last question. What are you making?
What am I making?
Yeah, you're making dinner, I thought. Yeah.
What am I making? I was about to give you my salary, doggy.
It feels like making love.
I was about to give you my
love.
I'm making salmon, I'm making broccoli, and I'm making gnocchi.
You know what?
Damn.
Seattle Tech guys that are diehard Mariners fans. I got one leaving to go make salmon. I love it. I couldn't ask for a more. It's like me and people. Where are you going? I gotta go. I'm going to make an Italian beef. So you go have salmon. I'm gonna go have an Italian beef.
We got fish out here, dog. We got heaps of it.
I know. I love it. I'm utterly. I can't wait to get to Seattle and have some. I was gonna tell you guys this last thing. I can't divulge this, but the piece of paper I just held up is the contact information for the City of Seattle Economic Development Chair.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was an elected position. I met him at the All-Star game. I'm not gonna say his name. I don't know. I just said his title. But we met at the All-Star game, and we had talked, and he was like, "Would you be interested in talking to me down the road as we were playing in the All-Star game, and maybe we could jump on a call or give any ideas?" And I was like, "I'll reach out to you like as the season's kind of winding down. We're busy, so we'll talk and stuff." My point about that is it's not about a thing like who knows. I might talk to this guy for 10 minutes. I might talk to this guy at all. I might send him an email. I might not answer me back. Whatever. I will tell you this though. When I said that shit about the civic stuff in the city of Seattle and how much they care about their teams, they put this guy on a plane. They put him in a hotel. They said, go spend the week in Los Angeles. I said, can I get you a drink? Do you want to hang out or anything? He's like, honestly, I'm fine. I'm working. I'm just trying to get some idea of what we can do in Seattle. So I got to go up to my room and like do some stuff for this. I'm working on a project. Here's my contact information. Maybe around the next couple of days. If I see you, let's get a coffee. So we saw each other around the hotel, talked a little bit. Now, again, if I can offer any insight about my experience, All-Star games, or here's what I think is a good idea, blah, 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 blah. None of that is important. What is important is that Seattle has a guy walking around Los Angeles, friendly, willing to talk to people, contact. We're trying. He wants to go put on we're here. We're trying to put on the best show. Like exactly. And like, so we'll see what Los Angeles is doing and see how the Dodgers are going to handle this. And we're trying to put together best practice. I'm going to get the chills retelling that stuff. That's fucking legit. Chicago would not be doing that stuff. Chicago would be like, come to me. No, they're like, well, we're going to go do our research, which is just a small, again, it's the same. I was saying about the Jesse Winker. I'm not saying Jesse Winker made a huge impact. I'm not saying the fucking economic redevelopment, the chair is but when you have all these little things going, it's amazing. It's going to be an amazing salmon, Max. It really is. It's going to be a great recipe. The Seattle's cooking it up right now. The Mariners got it going. The whole town, everybody's in on it. It's going to be a great meal tonight. Just a small little microcosm of the bigger picture at play here, fellas. Thanks for having me as a guest. Honestly, anytime you guys want to talk baseball, reach out to me. I'm here. I love you guys.
I'm gonna need you to I'll reach out to you after this, but I'll need you to resend the bet that we made earlier on the show.
130 OPS plus
130 OPS for a Winker. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. What are the stakes? What are we putting the stakes?
I see. That's what we got to think here, man. I got to think about the stakes.
Let them think about the stakes. I got to bounce.
We got to get it. We got to get them online.
I got to fucking dude. This bet doesn't close for a year. All right, we'll think about the stakes. We will have stakes figured out by the time this podcast hits published, so it will be included. I'll think about it. All right,
cool.
Nothing about the mustache, though. Mustache stakes.
Carl, best to you and yours, brother.
Absolutely, guys. Good luck with the date. So, thanks so much for reaching out, man. We'll talk soon. Send me that doc.
Back at you. Appreciate it, man.